All right, we got a 40 watt diode laser cutter engraver here from Xtool. It's the S1. For you car guys, no, not an OBD2 reader. That's an entirely different company. They just happen to share the name, so don't get the two confused. Anyway, we're going to go through, we're going to show you the setup on this. We're going to show you a couple quick projects. Then we're going to talk about some of the specs and pricing and stuff here at the end. So let's get into it. All right, let's walk through the setup on this real quick. This is the air pump there. You just press the hose in, it locks in. On the back of the machine, there's another symbol there with a fan. You plug that in. Power goes right into the power port. The manual on this is really good. You got USB that powers and controls the air unit. I love that. And then that, of course, plugs right into the back. There's a bank of 3 USB ports on the back. You can just plug it right into there, and that's going to manage it and control it and everything. Again, the manual on this is tight. All right, nice little toolkit here. Interesting little hex driver there. Now you're just going to take it to the 4 bolts on the back of the fan, the vent covering the fan there. Take those off, and then you're going to attach the plate with the hose attached to it so you can route the venting on this. And then we open it up. Now I've put the power head of this inside the unit here just to keep it safe and everything. This is, regardless of the 40 watt, you're going to have the 2 ports there on one side. You're going to have the mounting pin on the back. There's 2 mounting holes on the top where bolts go. And then there's a spot where the depth gauge goes. Now we have to release the carriage. For shipment, they have these blocks on it that lock it in place. They're kind of annoying. They're hard to reach. There's 2 bolts on either side. You got to reach way back in there and get those out. It's dark. It's hard to see, but it can be done. And then these stickers, the front part of the tab of the stickers doesn't have any adhesive. The slower you pull this, the less adhesive should stick to the rail. But even if it does, you can wipe it off. It comes off pretty easily. I don't even think you need any Goo Gone to get rid of it. And then next up, you're going to reach in and gently pull the carriage all the way out towards you. As you see, it's got this waxy paper covering it, or more of a plasticky kind of paper. Be careful not to scratch it as you're cutting the zip ties off of that. And then you're just going to take the paper and the zip ties out of there. You don't need no reason to keep those around. So get rid of that. And then you're going to want to go ahead and mount the power head for the unit. Now there's the notch that it's like a nub on the back goes into. You're going to put the air hose attachment on. That's going to get the air assist in there. Then you have this Molex style plastic connector for the power and the controls. That goes in there. And then it just slides right in. Make sure you mount it in there just like that. And then you just take 2 bolts out of the toolkit, screw them into the top, and that's it for mounting. Now you do want to add this accessory here. This is the depth gauge / focusing tool here. And there's 2 nubs, 2 little plastic nubs. You can see them there in the green circle. You just make sure those align right into the holes right above the slot there. It snaps in, it's magnetic. That's all there is to it. Make sure it's fully retracted though when you do insert it there. And then you need to insert the key. That's this little USB key on the back. You put that in the back in the little key slot. And then if you want to disable the laser so kids or somebody doesn't use it, just pull that out. Then we also have the emergency lock there. You want to make sure that is unlocked if you actually want to use the unit. Of course, if something goes wrong, you just smash it and it locks it back up. And now it's time to download software, all right? So download the Creative Suite there. All right, now just download the firmware. It'll flash while it's doing it. Now you're ready to turn the device on. Get started. It does its little dance, kind of fun to watch. I like that it has that light bar at the back, nice diffuse lighting. We can put our material in and get ready. It comes with 4 of these magnetic hold downs. They just slide into the honeycomb and latch down. Make sure you push the little handle there down so that the head can pass over it. All right, this is the Xtool Creative Space. Basically, it's their own web browser that allows you to interact with the machine and create your projects. The nice thing about it is, unlike some of the other higher end stuff that allows you to do the same thing, but also requires you to constantly be connected to the internet, this does not do that. So we are going to start a project. First we got to do is we got to connect a device. So we're going to connect a device. I'm actually on the other side of the room at my regular desk. So I'm going to connect Wi-Fi here. We're going to connect that one right here. And yeah, there we go. That's simple. Now okay, full disclosure, I'd already set this up locally when I was attached via USB. And to do that, you come up here and you click on the icon. You already connect via USB. You come down here and you go to Wi-Fi settings, and that's what allows you to do that, all right? And then you can check for updates. You can rename the device, all that fun kind of stuff. That's all in here. All right, so let's go back to here. So now we're going to import our project. Now let's see here. I believe it is open project. And then we come down here to my downloads, and I'm going to download. There it is right there. That looks like what we want. I want nothing to do with that though. Let's bring in my own art here. All right, then we're gonna bring this in here. We're gonna reduce him down in size. Pop him right in there. Okay. And come up there and we'll do, let's see here, den of tools. All right, that's layer 1, that's layer 2. Framing, click on those dots. We're gonna check the framing speeds on it. You wanna set the framing speeds. Well, this is something you're gonna play with, or in this case with these projects, they often have recommendations. We know what kind of material we're working with, so this will be good. All right, we're gonna come over here. We're gonna click on this. We're gonna tell it it's 3mm basswood. We're gonna click on the distance, and it's gonna do its thing. Now we're gonna go to marking and start marking it. All right, now we're gonna set up the marking. You move it up to one corner, you press the button, and then you take it, drag it down to the other corner for the square one. This is how that works. Once we're done with marking, we're ready to click on framing. There, once everything's uploaded to the system there, you press that and it's going to show you the area in which it's going to cut. If I'd been smart, I would have moved it over and not used the center of the board. And now we're ready to process. All right, and when you're ready to go, you just press the button to go and it launches. And here you can see it's starting off with the engraving or the etching there. Then it's going to do the cutting last. This is sped up 10x speed. It's pretty fast, but again, you know, it's still got a lot of area to cover there, so it does take a bit of time. I think the full process on this took about 5 minutes and 15 seconds, I think it was. Honestly, compared to most lasers, it was pretty quick. And this cutout, man, it just goes to town. There we go. Now, once you get this open, you're going to have to slide the carriage out of the way. By the way, when you do the marking, if you start at the front, then move to the back, and then the tool will end up at the back and not cover all your stuff there. But watch this. As you lift this off, perfectly cut. It just, I mean, just no two ways about it. It is so nice to open up a machine like this and have your material just ready to go like that. No fuss with it, no having to cut off, you know, sprues or anything like that. It's just, or deburr it. It is good to go. And there's hundreds of projects that are online you can download. We're gonna start a second one, have a little fun with it. There you can see the marking tool. That's how it does the depth gauge. Then it goes over to that little tab over there and does a reset on it. And anyway, so what this is a slate stone coaster, and I'm gonna do an outline of Montana with a silhouette of the mountains there. We're up here near the Absaroka Mountains, just north of Yellowstone. So I thought it'd be a fun little project to do, just to show you a couple of the different surfaces or materials that you can work with here. Now it will etch in this. It's not going to cut the stone. That would be cool, but still, again, this was a super fast project here. Again, we're going to jump up to high speed so you can see it take place. It's hard to see the outline of the state there. It was super thin, but as you can see it cut in, you can start to see the silhouette of the mountains better. That's sharp. All right, there you go. You saw a couple of the projects that you can do with a machine like this, but that's literally just scratching the surface. This thing is incredibly versatile, incredibly powerful for the money, and we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about the specs, we're going to talk about the pricing, accessories, all that kind of stuff. We're going to do a good, bad, and ugly kind of list of why I like it, what I don't like about it, maybe what's terrible about it, if anything. Then we're also going to talk about where I think it falls on the spectrum, who this is really for, maybe who it's not for, whether it's right for you or not. We can discuss all that. But before we jump into that, I do want to reiterate again that this was sent to us for free, although it's not a sponsor. Like, they didn't pay us for the review. Now, we have on the channel here a 100% guarantee for full transparency. We're always going to tell you whether it's sponsored, whether it's a free product, whether we found it on the side of the road dead. No matter what it is, we're always going to let you know, so the decision is up to you. You can make an informed decision at that. All right, so let's jump into it and let's talk about the pricing on this thing. So this is the Xtool S1 enclosed diode laser cutter here from Xtool. Now, this is their top of the line diode laser here, and it's coming in at $2,200 for the entire package. That's a sale down $638 on that. And that's going to get you the laser cutter, as we showed, the honeycomb engraver, the deluxe air assist. There's a more basic air assist, but this is the really nice air assist. Some extra materials, and then there's also a fire safety device. I didn't get that, but that comes with this package. Now, there's less powerful versions of it. Also, I should say you can get it in white as well as black. Maybe I should have gotten the white to go with my cabinets, but I do love that black and green. It looks really good. The 40 watt version comes in at $2,200. The 20 watt version comes in at $1,700. There's a bunch of different package things we can talk about. There's the basic bundle, the rotary bundle, the deluxe bundle, the all-in-one bundle. There's screen printing available for this. There's the rotary one that lets you print on all sorts of round objects and stuff like that. There's a riser base that gets you a little bit more room, also allows for pass-through and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of accessories and stuff you can go through with this. But let's get back to that good, bad, and ugly, all right? The good thing I'm gonna say about this is it's affordable for the kind of performance that you get. Now, I know a lot of you just roll your eyes going, how is $2,200 in any way, shape, or form affordable? I said, for the performance. There's some really high-end lasers out there. So at $2,200, this is really just, you're just getting into the bottom end of quality equipment at that point, okay? So you really are getting a lot of bang for your buck on this. There's a lot more headspace to go in this realm, all right? It comes in a fully enclosed, designed from the bottom up kind of case with the protector, the green plastic there that protects your eyes from the lasers, which is nice because now you've got control over the fumes and you got control over the laser. You don't have to sit there. And I've been in a room when I've been working with lasers and you got to wear the stupid goggles all the time, no matter what you're doing, while it does its job over in the corner. And it can take some time. It's just not fun, all right? Being able to have it fully enclosed makes it safe, lets you control the fumes. That's a great thing, all right? The build quality, as I say, this was designed from the bottom up. This is a high-end build quality. You know when you take it out of the package. You remember when Apple started doing those really nicely designed boxes and everything is in a little box, even the manual has its own little box. This is the same level kind of thing. Taking this thing apart was taking all the foam and everything out. They really thought about every single aspect of this. It's a really well-designed and well-built machine. The connectivity, it has USB and Wi-Fi, and not only that, stupidly easy to do. I've dealt with some machines where it's like, okay, the USB is decent, but the Wi-Fi is just like, oh my gosh. Other people are doing easy Wi-Fi. Why are you having such a problem? This took me 2, maybe 3 minutes to set up for Wi-Fi, so that was great. The speed of the machine, it is fast compared to most machines. There are faster out there, but this is one of the faster machines out there. It also cuts a wide variety of material. It is, it'll cut all sorts of plastics, all sort of papers, all sorts of woods, and other materials. It's a really powerful, that 40 watt diode in there. It also has an established community. Xtool's been doing this for a while. They've built up a real customer base, which means if you have issues, you can usually just Google it, all right? Somebody out there has already probably run into it, and you're going to find it. It's not by like buying some obscure brand that nobody's ever heard of, and you're one of 2 people in the States that has it. This is like buying into an established brand where you know that not only are you going to be able to get support from the company, you'll be able to get support from the community, which also means that there's also going to be a lot more, accessories and stuff, third-party kind of things you probably in the future that you can buy or that will work with this, because it's going to have, a larger sales volume. It's like, I used to carry some obscure Android phones. Trying to find a case could be a real problem. I have my iPhone now, and I can just go to any 7-Eleven and buy a case for it. That's the difference between going with something that's got an established community with something that's a little bit more obscure. The software, it's got its own integrated software package that is actually fairly robust. It is not the most robust, but it is up there. I mean, it's kind of like that kind of, it's not a complete walled garden like you would see on like Android or some other machines like Glowforge. If you've seen the Glowforge, that's not just a walled garden. That's a walled garden with no gates, with barbed wire on the top, and the barbed wire is facing in, because it's not going to let you out. In fact, the Glowforge, to use it, which is a high-end machine, if you're not familiar with it, Glowforge starts at $4,000. But it is, you have to be connected to the internet to use that. I cannot even imagine the design concept when who said that in a boardroom? Anyway, I could go on about Glowforge for some time. But as far as the software, so it has that software. But there's another piece of software called Lightburn. Anybody else, and let me just say again, Lightburn. This is like the Photoshop of laser software. It is incredibly powerful. Professionals use this. It runs a lot of the top end machines that are out there. It is a great way to get some real power out of these machines. Now, that said, the learning curve on it isn't the easiest. It's not ridiculously hard, but you're going to want some help, read some tutorials and stuff like that. Whereas software like this more, as I said, the walled garden kind of approach, kind of like the Apple approach. You just sit down and you go, oh, I click on that, I click on that, I click on that. Hey, look, I've got a product. And that's what's really nice about that. The benefit here is you can use both software. You can use their own software, the Creative Suite there that we talked about, or you can use Lightburn, all right? So you have a choice. Now, there's going to be an asterisk on that we're going to talk about here in just a minute. All right, it's powerful. We talked about the 40-watt laser, super powerful, great at cutting. That's its forte, is cutting material. It can cut up to, I think it was 18 millimeters of wood. That's like 0.7 of an inch there. That's pretty good there. What else can it do? This comes with the upgraded air assist. There's another one that's more of a basic air assist. You may have seen when we did the We Create video there. That's just a little, almost like an aquarium pump. Whereas this is a smart one. All right, you got all the different settings. Plus, it's got the auto setting where it listens to the machine. That's fantastic there, and it gets its power from the machine. Love that setup there. It comes with the honeycomb base. It comes with the fire safety set. You can also get multiple heads for this. So you don't like the 40 watt, you want to go down to a 20, to a 10, or an infrared. You can do that, all right? And we're going to talk more about heads here in just a minute. But it probably takes you maybe 5 minutes. I don't think it takes you 5 minutes. You take 2 bolts out, you unplug the air, you unplug the electrical, pop it out, put the other one in. Probably 2 or 3 minutes to tops to change out a head on this thing. It has autofocus, that little pin thing. That is some nifty tech. Talk about a stupid, simple, elegant solution. I love elegant solutions to difficult problems because I hate doing manual focus on lasers. It's one of the reasons why I never super got into lasers. It's maybe a small issue, but I find it incredibly annoying. I hate that part of it. The working area on this is pretty good. I think it's 20 by 12, 19 and a half by 12 essentially in that area. It's not the deepest, but it's wider than most. Now, you can argue I'd rather have like a 12 by 12 or something, or 20 by 20. I mean, everyone wants a bigger area. But if you figure you're going to be putting this like on a bench or something like that, longer is going to be better than deeper. And on top of that, a lot of the stuff I'm going to make is not going to be square. So I'm either going to have it, portrait or landscape. So I'm usually going to want something that's longer in one direction than the other. And as such, this actually makes it more of a workable area. And on top of that, besides the pass-through, just inside the box, it's at least 24, if not more, inches wide. So even though you can't cut that wide, you can put that size of material in there and work with it. And then it has the accessories there that are available for it. We talked about that. The rotary tool, and this one does a lot of stuff, okay? Not only will it do like cups and mugs and stuff like that, it'll do spheres, it'll do rings. So it can spin something, it can hold it from the inside, it can hold it from the outside, and it can also press it up against the end, kind of like a lathe for doing spheres and stuff like that. The screen printer, I used to do a lot of graphic arts in school back in the day, and I loved doing screen printing. I would like to actually do it again. This looks like a super, super easy way to get into screen printing and having some fun. The riser pass-through we talked to, and it has an auto feed thing that also helps with it. And then the smoke purifier, that's a great add-on you can get for something like this. Now let's talk about the bad. Now the bad, it's, as I say, I said it was a great value for the money, but let's be honest, that's a lot of money. $2,200 for a lot of people is a hefty chunk of change, and it's going to put it financially out of the reach of most people. So that you have to kind of justify who is going to be buying this, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Now, probably the biggest negative, and I almost put it as the ugly, but it's not. I can't quite justify it as an ugly, and that is no camera. Now, if you haven't seen my other video, the camera is used for positioning and making sure where something is. It's great. I used it on the We Create in that video. I can just toss the material in there, put the lid down, go back to my PC, sit down, pull up the camera, and be like, okay, there, fits, perfect. Now this has the marking capability where you move the laser and you set waypoints. You go here to here to here to here to here. You can do as little as 2, but you can do a whole bunch more, and basically draw a boundary with the laser head going, okay, this is where you're allowed to play inside of that. And then that shows up inside your software. It's a solution. It's not as elegant a solution as a camera, which is why I can't say it's ugly, because there is a way to work around it, but it's not as good as, I'll say it's not as good as having the camera. Because with the camera, I can always 100% go, okay, this is lined up, I'm square to this thing. With this, I have to make sure that the item's square, and then I've marked the boundaries. And once I made sure everything else is square to the gantry, then I know it's square. So there's a little bit extra work here. It's a diode laser, okay? There's essentially 3 main types of lasers out there: diode, CO2, and fiber lasers, okay? Diodes are great. They're inexpensive. That's why you can get 40 watts for only $2,200 with all those features, all right? And most other things, if you go to a cathode ray, you're looking at the Glowforge, you're looking at like $4,000. Now, that said, then the Glowforge is 40 watts. Xtool does have their own version of a cathode ray, and it's 55 watts for essentially the same price. All right, so there's value where you look to find it. Now, the benefit of a CO2 is it'll cut almost anything and engrave almost anything. If you, like with the diode, it has a problem with clear plastics. It just passes right through. It doesn't really do much, okay? So there are some things you're limited with the diode. Not a ton, honestly. But if that's an issue for you, you want to look at the CO2. Now, if you want fiber, the reason you're going to go fiber is you're going to just be focusing entirely on metal. That's where fiber's bailiwick is. It's going after metal, all sorts of stuff, and you can even change the way almost kind of the color the engrave is, depending on how much power, how long you take. Fiber is a whole nother discussion. But you can do some metal in diode. You can do some metal in CO2. It's just not where they're best at, and there's only specific kinds and ways you can do it. If you want to do that, you got to go with fiber. Now, when I said before about the asterisk regarding the light burn, it's not 100% support. When it launched, it was worse. It's gotten better, but I would say it's in the high 90s. There's going to be a few features here and there. I think one of the biggest issues is as they add functionality software-wise and they upgrade the firmware and stuff, they have to make, then they have to go and Lightburn upgraded this and they upgraded this, and there's always going to be some this doesn't work and that doesn't work. And sometimes you may have to be like, okay, I did it in this, now I have to go over to the other software and do this. But you're only going to be using Lightburn if you get into the really, really advanced levels. And if you are somebody who is like a prosumer, it's probably not going to bother you as much. If you're a pro and trying to use this as a production piece or piece of equipment, that's where you're going to feel some significant pain. It's better at cutting than engraving. Now, this is one a lot of people called out because it is. It is better at cutting than engraving, and that's to do with the diode laser. 40 watt is focused on cutting. It has more power, but the dot it emits is slightly bigger. Now you can get the other head. You can get the 20 watt head. You can get the 10 watt head. The 20 watt head is better for engraving. The 10 watt is for using on materials that might be more delicate, that a higher power laser might just burn through or burn up. Now people will say there, as I said, though, I'm going to show you real quick because you saw it in the video, but I want to show it a little more up close. So there you can see, look at the Den of Tools, the text here, and look at the crisp outline there. They say it's not that great at engraving, but it's not bad. Now check this. This is on stone, and the Montana line on this, the outline there is really thin. And it had no problem. Look at the in the mountains there, the etching. I think it did a pretty good job. They're going to sit there and say that I'm going to say it, I'm going to admit it, the 20 watts better, but it's not that bad. And if it really is an issue, then get both heads. Heck, you can get an infrared. It's not as good as a fiber when it comes to metal, but it's pretty good. So you can get all 4 heads and swap them all out and do all sorts of things. You know, everything's a tool. You don't always need a screwdriver. You don't always need a pair of pliers. Sometimes you need a hammer. All right, so this is the different heads that you can use in it. One thing I do want to say, and it's kind of weird to say this, is the exhaust needs more power. And it's not just this machine. All these machines, the exhaust, there isn't enough power, I think. And maybe it's just because I live someplace windy. So if I were to sit this on a bench and I were to route the hose out a window, the wind that we get here would overpower that fan in an instant and blow everything right back into my shop. That's just not something that would be feasible, which is one of the reasons I chose to go with the fume extractor. I don't have to worry about it. Runs it through a filter. We clean out the filter every so often. Every so often you replace the filter. Great. But they do have an option where they have an inline ducted fan. So you can run it into the ducted fan and the ducted fan out. Now this is an accessory you have to buy, but that's going to put enough juice behind it to get that stuff out of there. And I highly recommend that you look into that because the fumes from these things are nasty. You don't want to be dealing with these. And when I said it was fast, it's fast compared to a consumer machine, but it's not as fast compared to, say, a commercial laser. So just want to make sure that we talk about that because everyone talks about the speed of this thing, how fast it is. It is fast. But if you're a pro or a value pro, just bear in mind that it's not going to be like your commercial grade kind of fast. Now, as far as the ugly, you can hate on me, but I mean, the camera thing was close, but that's the closest it came to ugly for this. There's nothing truly ugly about this device. There's nothing about this device that for me is a deal breaker. There's nothing about this device that makes me think, the only thing that comes close is the lack of the camera. And who knows, maybe we'll add that in as an accessory going down the road. But as I said, the marking tool does kind of make up for it. So it is definitely a usable machine. I really like the machine. Now, who's it for? Okay, so we use a scale on the channel of 1 to 5. And that is, at 5, you're talking about high-end pro users. At 1, you're talking about entry stuff. So it goes entry, DIY weekend warrior, prosumer, value pro, and then pro. And I would put this in at like a 3.5. All right, it's better than your average prosumer kind of equipment. It really is. Is it a professional grade? It's definitely not a high-end pro. And there's some value pro stuff out there, but it's in that high 3s. It might be a 3.7. All right, maybe you know what? I'm gonna redo it. 3.7. One bite. Everyone knows the rules, if you know what I mean. So it's a solid machine that I think that as far as who should be buying this, it's the high-end prosumer, the budget-minded pro, the pro who maybe needs a secondary, tool, and then maybe somebody who's as far as entry level, somebody who's going to be serious and like I'm getting into this, but I'm going to be serious about it, or the person who's got a ton of money to throw at something, doesn't really care and really wants to get kind of the best out there. There's the Glowforge and all the other higher end stuff, but if it's going to be at that hobbyist to value pro kind of level, I can't really say that you would have a bad choice with going with the S1. There's other options out there and they may fit your needs better, but I can't say this one would be bad specifically. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are. Put it down in the comments down below. If you have any other questions, you can put them down below. If you're thinking about buying it, first of all, we do have links down below, and they are affiliate links, so you know how the whole affiliate thing works. But that said, because this would be such a large purchase, I'm gonna do something I don't normally do, which is I'm gonna say, reach out and talk to me. All right, there's an email address down below that you can go down and find, but it's red@dentatools.com. I try to answer all the emails all the time. But if you're looking to buy something like this, feel free to email me if you have any questions that you don't want to talk about in the comments. I totally get it. I just want to be there to support the community and such. So that's another resource there for you. Anyway, while you're down there in the comments, don't forget to chomp the old like button, smash that subscribe, ring the bell on the way out. You all take care, God bless, and as always, shine on.